education, and we have all these disenfranchised learners, people that have learning disability, and they can't learn because they have this thing or that thing, that particular problem. In business, we have a salesperson who can't sell because the economy's down, or we have a salesperson who can't sell because the economy's up, or sideways, or bonds are up, or who knows what. Your job as a practitioner of NLP in any of those cases is to move the client from the effect side of the equation over to the cause side of the equation. You know what happens when you do that? You'll never see him again. Here's an example. I had a business client come to me, but he said, I've got ulcers right now. Can you help me? And I said, sure. So we did some timeline therapy with the client. We did some timeline therapy, very simple timeline therapy. I would say no more than 3 or 4 hours of timeline therapy. He called me 6 weeks later and he said the ulcers had totally disappeared. Now, he went to the doctor 5 days after working with me, and the doctor said there was no trace of the ulcers, whereas the man had come in with bleeding ulcers. Now, here's the thing, and look for a second. If the client is pushing the cause outside themselves, then they're never going to get enough learning or enough information so that you can create something differently, so that you can create what you want. And I say to the client, as long as you're pushing the cause outside yourself, as long as you're putting the cause out there, then you're giving up your power. You're disenfranchising yourself, and you're giving up your power to someone else. Now, I had an example for one guy came to me and he said, I can't make enough money. So we did timeline therapy with him. We changed some of his values and beliefs using timeline therapy, and his income doubled. Now, the question is, who's at cause here? Well, he moves from being at effect to being at cause, and his income goes up dramatically. And that's total empowerment. So I don't really know, by the way, if we create all the bad things that happen to us consciously. But I do know, and I do believe, that the sum total of all of our conscious plus our unconscious choices led us to where we are today. So I think as you begin the practitioner training, and I think this is a good question for all of the clients that you see, I think as you begin the practitioner training, I think you need to ask yourself, am I on the cause side of the equation or the effect side of the equation? Now you see the arrow that we've drawn on slide number 4 and slide number 5? I think that you should retrace that arrow with your pen, giving your unconscious mind, or even put one above, to give your unconscious mind the signal, the sign, the message that you want to be on the cause side of the equation. Now see, in life, either you have results or you have reasons why you didn't get what you want. And quite frankly, one of the things I learned when I was in business consulting and when I owned my own businesses along the way is that you can't take reasons to the bank. I remember one time we owned a radio station and the economy was particularly bad. And we had, our sales were down. And we went to the bank and we said, well, the economy's bad. And the bank said, we don't care. Now, they were caring people, I'm sure. But the fact is that regardless of whatever reasons we had, what they were looking for was results. Now, if you have reasons in your life, then by all means, you will get people around you who will support you. And they call those support groups. And the fact is that people get together in groups like that. And they say to other people, I'm going to take care of you. And so people who are angry get together in anger groups and they do Gestalt therapy or something like that. And people who are sad get together in sadness groups and maybe they do inner child work. And people who are fearful get together in phobia groups. And maybe people who are guilty get together in, well, you know where they go. And they all get together in different groups. And you'll get a lot of support about how you can't change. But the fact is that neuro-linguistic programming and timeline therapy, about which we're going to talk a little bit here during this series, is about moving yourself from the effect side of the equation to the cause side of the equation. It's about moving you from the effect side to the cause side, and about actually changing the internal representations that occur, changing those things that happen to you so that they are of your creation. Now again, I'm not saying that you created all the horrible bad things that happened to you. What I am saying is that the sum total of all of your choices, both conscious and unconscious choices, have led you to where you are today. And that's the minute you accept that and then move to the cause side of the equation saying, okay, I chose this, I created this, even though it was unconscious, now I'm done with it. I've really had enough of it and I want to move on.